Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz vocalist, composer, and improviser Aubrey Johnson. We caught up with her in late March 2020, just as the coronavirus quarantine was ramping up from her base in New York, to talk about her latest CD, Unraveled. It came out on March 20th, 2020, on the Outside in Music label during an unprecedented era of no live jazz. She has spent more than a decade in this creatively charged career of hers, and she has now a debut CD that comes out during a very strange time on the planet. We talked about this and so much more, so please get to know her and dig this interview.
So where are you located?
I'm in New York City, in Harlem.
Okay, all right, in Harlem. So how's everything going up there?
It's okay, you know, kind of the epicenter of the virus outbreak right now, but,
Yeah.
you know, people are being supportive of each other and staying home, so that's good. Yeah. How are things over there?
Oh, you know, it's not as bad, or the numbers aren't as high, but of course we're not in a dense population, but, you know, hopefully we start seeing some things improve here soon. I mean, it's been ghost town around here for a long time. I mean, people are going out for essential things, but there's an enormous amount of activity that's just not happening.
I know.
So,
it's crazy.
It really is, but I figure maybe just talking about music is an oasis from all of it for a little bit, so thanks for taking a few minutes out for Neon Jazz. I appreciate it. I guess your album is probably apropos for what's going on in the world right now, and it's Unraveled. And talk to me a little bit about what your artistic vision for this project was.
Yeah, this album is the amalgamation of several years of playing live shows with the same group of people. So it kind of started out as a mission to sort of discover my compositional and arranging skills. And so that's kind of how it came together, really just like a compilation of the best stuff that the band had been performing for many years, or maybe like 4 years in New York City. The title track, Unraveled, that was the song that was untitled for a long time. And because it's the concepts explored in the song are kind of complex. So it's hard to find a word to encapsulate all of it. But the word unraveled kind of did it for me eventually, because unraveled can have like a dual meaning, you know, like coming apart, of course, you know, but also we unravel things to get to the truth, you know, so it's sort of like a double-sided meaning, like kind of going into yourself and finding yourself, unraveling the truth, and also like maybe you finally get there once you become unraveled because, you know, things aren't going so well. So yeah, hopefully that's what this situation will bring too, you know. We're unraveling a bit, but hopefully we're getting to the truth of certain matters and things will improve.
Yeah, that's the hope. So talk to me a little bit about your childhood, where you were born and raised, and kind of how music became your life.
Raised in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I come from a musical family. My uncle is Lyle Mays of the Pat Metheny Group that recently we lost, sadly. So I grew up listening to his music and going to his concerts and being heavily influenced by that, and just the idea of music as a career was always right there for me on display. So I decided I wanted to be a singer when I was like 6 years old. I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't really get super into jazz until like later in high school and college.
There was a time that you went to Western Michigan University as an undergrad. Talk to me a little bit about your time there, and then you moved on to Boston, and then you made your way to New York. So kind of give me an idea of your timeline as a professional from like college. Like, what did you really learn in college that's helped you as a professional?
Yeah, at Western Michigan University, I majored in jazz studies, and my main instrument, voice, obviously. And the program there is pretty incredible, even though it's a smaller program and maybe not as known, but the work ethic at that school is incredible. The teachers push you really hard. The students, you know, there's a culture there of just everybody working hard, and it doesn't feel competitive in a negative way. It just kind of feels like everybody's going along with each other and trying to reach this high standard. And, you know, being in the Midwest, it's a little bit less about like an ego thing. Like it's not a school where you are going to think like, oh, I got in here, so that, that must mean I'm great. It's sort of like, I'm an underdog, and so I need to work really hard to be great. And then kind of what ends up happening is that work ethic drives people to the top of the field. There's like tons of people from Western Michigan that are doing incredible things. So I definitely learned that there. One of my mentors there was Fred Hirsch. He visited our school every semester. And I'm sure your listeners know Fred Hirsch, the great pianist.
Yeah.
He's the one that recommended that I go to New England Conservatory in Boston for my master's degree. And so that's why I did it. I was like, well, Fred knows what he's talking about, so I'll just go there and to Boston. And that really opened up a lot of doors for me, being on the East Coast. I had a whole slew of incredible professionals that I got to work with there, including Dominique Eade and Danilo Perez, Jerry Bergonzi, George Garzone. Fred was there at the time. Those are some of the main people. And my experience there just kind of opened up more as an artist. My Western Michigan was a foundation, and then NEC was artistry. It kind of requires you to find your own voice and start writing music and arranging. There's really no option. Like, that's what you have to do when you're there. And so I loved that, and all my colleagues were incredible musicians and composers that I got to work with. And the move to New York was a natural transition. That's where everybody was going. So that's why I came to New York. And then once I got here, I discovered it really is the place for me. I love living here. I love the environment artistically.
Was it hard to kind of break yourself in there in the beginning, or did it just kind of happen organically?
It happened pretty organically. Definitely the connections that I had from school were helpful. Like, people from Western Michigan and from NEC were both in New York already, so that was like a really helpful jumping off point. And I kind of just felt like I grew along with my peers, that came here at the same time. I was also, now I don't do this because I can't at the present moment, but I travel to Boston every week to teach at Berklee College of Music. So I still have that Boston connection because it's a great place to work. I love my students there. So that helps too. It was like the financial foundation when I first moved as well, like helping support me as I made my way in New York. And now it's kind of, just a part of the picture. So,
what do you like the most about being a professional singer?
I love the opportunity to explore all kinds of different styles and different people's music, and to write for my own voice. I kind of love it all. I do some like classical choral singing in New York, and I also do I sing other people's original compositions, which is one of my favorite things. In jazz usually, but I do some pop stuff as well, and then being able to write for my own instrument. But I've always absolutely loved to perform and loved singing. It's just my entire life, like I mentioned. So yeah, I love all of it, but I think the variety is so fun, and traveling. I love traveling, so sadly can't do that right now. But
so what was one of the first live jazz shows you ever saw that made you think that's something that you want to do? You want to be on stage? I
saw Diane Reeves perform in my hometown in, I think, like 2001 maybe, or something like that. And when I saw her perform, I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life. That's a very seminal moment for me.
Why do you love jazz?
I love the freedom and the complexity. That's what drew me to it initially. I think like the harmonic and rhythmic complexity. And also just the idea that it's a style, but it's also like a sensibility about music, and you can learn it and train in it and then kind of take it in your own direction. And more like nowadays, people are taking that jazz training and taking it all different directions and applying it to different styles of music. And I think everything is better for it, having that greater complexity and imagination. And of course I love the improvisational aspect. But yeah, I love it all. But I always tell my students that like jazz is for everyone. It's for every kind of singing voice. It's just a matter of like figuring out how to how to, frame it the right way, frame your own voice and write for it the right way.
I'm going to ask an ever-present question about right now. When we get past what's going on in our world right now, which is just the quarantine on hold kind of thing, and jazz clubs open up and there's live performances, what do you hope that audience members, the people that get back out and live life and start seeing music, what do you hope they gain from this? What new revelations or, realizations, so to speak, do you hope they get from all this?
I hope they see the value in live performance and the value that musicians provide to society, and understand that, without music and without being able to experience art, life can be pretty bland, I think, So I hope maybe there's more of a visceral sense of what that is, now that we're without it for this time.
Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, students, fans, but you're living your life. Who do you think you are?
Well, that's a broad question. I like it. Who do I think I am? I think I am a human, an artist who is, trying to best express myself through this certain medium that I've chosen. But I also, try to be a good person who does the right thing when it's called upon me to do it, and spreads positivity and joy and encouragement to everybody that I can. It's kind of the force I try to be in my life, and hope that's what I am. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking some time out today. It's kind of a unique time to do an interview in our existence, in our world. So I appreciate you talking about your music and what's going on and the aftermath. I truly appreciate it.
Of course, it's my pleasure, and thank you so much for supporting jazz musicians and our music. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest singers in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Aubrey for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Davino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, please support the arts and enjoy the jazz, my friends.
What was lost so long ago? Neon Jazz.